I wonder if anybody is there already. There's always a little bit of a delay. There we are. So hello, as you join, why not let us know where you are joining us from so that we can find out where across the world you are. I am in South Oxfordshire in the UK and it's a very grey day. And for those who don't know me, I am Liz Yuille from the Old Stables Crafts. So who have we got? We have got Audrey's just joined, Belinda has just joined. I know that Audrey's in Scotland and I'm guessing Belinda is from home in Essex. Dorothea, hi from Germany, hello. So we're going to be doing inking techniques today using our lovely new, oh I didn't get the clean one out, our lovely new blending brushes. So these are our new, ooh, this is where it's really odd that there's a lag. Hello from Georgia. Of course, you lived in Bampton, which is in Devon. Devon's actually quite away from us. It's, I mean, from a US point of view, probably not, but from a UK point of view, yes. Ria is from the Netherlands. Very wet in Essex, yeah. I don't think it's actually raining at the moment here, but it has been most of the day. Katharina from Holland. So quite a few of you joining, which is great. I have to say, I'm keeping this one clean for the moment. I have ordered some more of these blending brushes. Gotta say, I love them. Yes, let me make sure I can get it in camera. There we are. But yes, they're really gorgeous and soft and oh, love it. So one of the things that's really odd for me is that when I look in one place, I'm one way round, and when I look in another place, I'm another way round. So when I'm looking at what's going out on my YouTube video, I'm one way round, and on the software that I'm using, yeah, not so much. Anyway, so yes, we're using blending brushes. I have ordered some more because I love them. We were allowed to, as demonstrators, order a pack of 3 as pre-order, and it's not enough. Not for me. So who else has joined? Perth, Western Australia, 11 o'clock at night. Wow. I loved Perth. I went there many, many, many years ago. It's probably about 35 years ago I went down to Perth. And I have to say it was gorgeous because I flew down in February and it was miserable here. I mean, awful. And of course landed in Perth and it was gloriously hot and sunny, and I do like heat. So yes, Katharina from Holland. Right, okay, so what I'm going to be doing today was kicked off when I made this card for the Spot Challenge earlier this week. Let me just make sure you can see that. So yes, it's this card, it's just a monochrome card. So Bermuda Bay, Coastal Cabana and Pool Party. Mostly it's Coastal Cabana and Bermuda Bay as far as the inking is concerned, and then some Coastal Cabana ribbon. So one of the people that looks at my my website did pass the comment that probably need to know how to make it, or how to do the technique at least, because the technique, the whole Spot Challenge this week is around inking techniques, and yes, she did say possibly need a video. So this is that video. So who else has joined? We've got, yes, Audrey in Scotland, yes, snow on the hills. Oh, I wish we had snow. I like snow, and as we haven't got anywhere to go, or we're not allowed to go anywhere, it would be lovely to have some snow, and it would be pretty. Judith, hello Judith. Karen Morris, also from Scotland. So Judith is 5 miles from Eastbourne. Friend of mine lives in Hastings, used to live in Eastbourne, but is now in Hastings. And Brina, is that right? Brina, probably not, is from somewhere in the US. Okay, so I'm going to flip you down and we're going to go picture in picture. So hello, Wendy from Swansea, Linda from Pennsylvania in the States. Thank you. I'm so pleased you like the card. Right, so I'm going to flip you down to there. So you should be able to see me in the top right hand corner, and then we can kind of have a proper look. Let me just check that that's going to look all right. Yes, it is. Super duper. So yes, so this is using the Handmade for You stamp set, which is new in the mini catalogue. Brina, thank you. I was correct. Good, Brina, thank you. So yes, this is a red rubber in the new mini catalogue. Let me find it in the new mini catalogue. And then we can... Where is it? Where is it? Where are you? You're in here somewhere. I know you are. Probably on the next page. I'm probably looking on the wrong page. I hope you've all got your 56. I hope you've all got your mini catalogues now. If you're in the UK and you don't work with another demonstrator and you would like one, do let me know and I can get one in the post to you. So we're on page 56 of the mini catalogue. So it's this set. One of the joys of this set is it's also got the copyright image. So Stampin' Up are very, very happy for you to make projects using their products and sell them. But the only thing you do have to do is include the Stampin' Up copyright on your card, and it's actually here twice. So we've got it once here and once down here with the scissors. So this is obviously part of the same thing. This is a standalone stamp. So you can see it here. So it's really good for that. And it's not too expensive. It is in other... Thank you, Wendy. Yes, we like thumbs ups. We do like thumbs ups. We also like subscribes. So Wendy is one of my team, and she's like... Wendy joined a couple of years ago, and I have to say, one of the joys of Stampin' Up is the friends that you make. And Wendy and I are very much like spirits. You just bought a little copyright image from eBay. Okay, so you're good for making some projects for the boutique. Good. So, yes, you are allowed to sell, but you do have to include the Stampin' Up logo. But yes, so when it comes to YouTube and things that, particularly if you're not in the UK and you like my YouTube videos and all that sort of stuff, one of the ways that you can support me is by subscribing to my channel, and then if you enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. I always reply to comments. I mean, always. I may take a couple of days, but I always reply to comments. So that would be great if you would like to subscribe. And if you, now that I'm doing live videos on YouTube, if you also hit the notification bell, you'll get an alert when I'm going live. At the moment I'm going live UK time, 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon and 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I do a live over on Facebook as well on a Tuesday morning, but for YouTube it's Thursday afternoon and Saturday morning. So, as I say, this is really all about inking techniques. So this, as I say, is the inspiration behind why I'm doing this today. But hi Claire, this is the inspiration piece behind it. So I have got out various bits of card because things are different depending on what you use. I say things. Ink reacts slightly differently depending on what card you use. Now I'm going to do a disclaimer here and now. In the UK, we are getting a slight lag on orders coming through because of Brexit. So there's extra customs things that are having to go into place, and obviously it's new for everyone, so it's taking a little longer than we would like, but it is beginning to get streamlined. But that does mean that I don't yet have any basic white card, so just accept that this card isn't basic white, it's whisper white. If you want to see, hi Deborah, if you want to see a comparison between whisper white and basic white, I highly recommend you have a look at Patty Bennett's video that she's done on YouTube, which goes through that. And I mean, Patty is as honest as the day is long, so I'm very happy to refer you to her video. She's in the States. There may well be other comparisons, and if there are, if anyone wants to leave a comment, that's absolutely fine. But this is whisper white, not basic white, so just bear with me on that. Basic white may react slightly differently, but I've got basic white, I've got shimmer white, which is a little bit more yellow, and I've also got some watercolor card, which is kind of, from a color point of view, between the two, so it's not quite as white as whisper white, but it's not quite as yellow as the shimmer white. So those are the cards that I'm using, and I will be showing you those. But what I want to start by showing you is just some of the pieces that I've done to prep. So this is shimmer white, and I'm using Bermuda Bay and Poppy Parade because they are very much at opposite ends of the color scheme. They do react slightly differently, so I thought it would be interesting to see those work. So we've got Bermuda Bay and Poppy Parade on shimmer white. This is them on whisper white, and you may be able to see already, it may be different on the video, but I can see that this has what's the word I'm looking for? This doesn't have quite such a defined edge to the splatters as this, which is to be expected because this can take water. This is the shimmer white, whereas whisper white isn't quite so happy about water. And then this is the watercolor paper. So this is the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. And again, very different again when you look at this. This has got a very pink hue for the Poppy Parade. And it's also got more of a texture, but I thought I would show you how easy or not it is to get the ink on the paper in the first place, because again it's different depending on the paper that you use. So I've got shimmer white, whisper white, and Fluid 100, and I'm going to just do a simple diagonal on each of those using my brushes. Now, at the moment, this is definitely my red brush, and this is definitely my aqua brush. But that said, you can clean your brushes just by, rubbing them. You can also use a microfiber cloth, and I have heard that if you use stamp scrub and some of the stamp cleaner, that works quite well. Or if you're doing it one day and you want to then wash them and use them the next day, just a bit of cold water, a bit of something like washing up liquid, and then dry them on something absorbent that way up rather than that way up, and then that will help draw the ink out. But you do need to leave them to dry, probably, I would say definitely overnight, and possibly a bit longer. Because I've only got 3 at the moment, I don't want to do that because I want to be able to use it. So this has still got a little bit of Bermuda Bay in it, but it's not too bad. So I'm going to start with Bermuda Bay. So I'm just taking my Bermuda Bay ink pad, and do please, if you've got any questions along the way, do please ask. So I'm going to start with my shimmer white, and I am going to grab some post-it notes, purely because it then gives me something to hold so I don't get fingerprints everywhere. Just saying. So just ink up your brush, you probably know this, but just in case you don't, I tend to start off and then come on, and then just add your ink. Now this is shimmer white. It's not drawing a lot of ink off. You know, I'm having to put a reasonable amount of welly in. Now I hold the handle and then put my thumb on the back. Different people do it different ways. You can do that. I don't think you have as much control. I like to be able to hold the head of my brush and then just again ink it up and drag it. And we're also going to be doing some work with masks, and I possibly will do this and a mask. We'll see how the time goes. So I'll do some inking and then layer a mask on top and see how we go. But this is quite hard work. So this is, you know, the colour's not going in super fast, but that's the Bermuda Bay. So let me get the Poppy Parade. And these are reasonably juicy ink pads. So let me turn that round. I'm going to go slightly off so that I don't pick up Bermuda Bay from my grid paper. So I'm going to move slightly, add my Poppy Parade and come on to my shimmer white. Now this is going down much easier. Obviously each colour has a slightly different formulation, but this is going down a lot easier, I would say. Gosh, you're all being so quiet. I quite often get really worried when you're quiet because I don't know that you're still seeing us all right, seeing me all right. So it's always good to know that you can still see me. So that, I'll leave that there. The mix, but oh, now that was interesting because I caught the post-it note. So I had a little square. So I'll make sure I don't do that again. I'm going to not go too over because red and blue tend to make brown, and I know this is actually an aqua, but they do tend to make a really not terribly pleasant colour. So that's the shimmer white. This is the watercolour. So again, I'm going to do the Poppy Parade as I've got it out. So again, off and on. And this was quite a surprise. Good. Happy that everything's still all right. This was quite a surprise. I was anticipating that the watercolour paper would be really tricky. Got a smit somewhere. But actually, it takes the colour much better than the shimmer white, which I did find more than a little fascinating. So that's the watercolour with the Poppy Parade. So now let's pick up some Bermuda Bay, twizzle round, come onto a more Bermuda Bay coloured area. And even with the Bermuda Bay, which was a bit trickier on the shimmer white, this is quicker onto the watercolour paper. So whether it's because it's more absorbent as opposed to the shimmer white, which I think works with water because it's not absorbent, if that makes sense. Anyway, so that's that. So I'll pop that to one side, and then we've just got our Whisper White as our final colour. And this is ordinary Whisper White. It's not the thick, it's the what I would call the smooth. Yes, the 7th is shipping this morning. Whoop whoop! Now, so any of you who are in the UK and wondering how quickly things are coming through, when you get the notification that the order has shipped, that means it's gone through German customs, because we're now having to go through German customs and UK customs. So it won't be marked as shipped from a Stampin' Up point of view until it's been through German customs. Then it has to be honest, it has to wait for UPS to then pick it up from the warehouse. Then it will go through to Frankfurt, and by UK I mean Great Britain, because Northern Ireland is slightly different. because it's still technically sort of part of the EU-ish. I mean, it's not, but it's being treated as if it is. So it's all very complicated, and please don't ask me about it because I don't understand. So Poppy Parade. So it will go to Frankfurt, and then it will have to go through UK customs before it leaves Frankfurt. And I spoke to UPS yesterday afternoon, and they have confirmed that, generally speaking, it will take a day to get through UK customs, a working day, so inside a day. But it could take up to 3 days, depending on how busy they are. I have had one package pass through customs, and it's due for delivery, depending on which bit of UPS you look at, either tomorrow or Monday. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that it was a weekend, I think it would be, if today was Monday, I would say it's either going to arrive Tuesday or Wednesday. But as I say, it depends on which bit of UPS you look at. It doesn't seem to know its left from its right at the moment. But that's the process. So I think once everything's kind of settled, it will be maybe a day and a half extra on shipping times, which isn't dreadful. So those are the 3 different papers, and even just looking at the ink on the paper, I think there's a colour difference. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. You have a partial on your order. B, that's to do with how much stuff you ordered that was on back order. So yeah, that's more to do with stock at the warehouse, and there isn't an issue getting stuff into the warehouse other than there have been generally, globally, shipping problems. But yeah, partial is nothing to do with the customs issue. Partial is normal. So let me just pile these up. As I say, I don't know if you can see the difference, but the Poppy Parade looks a little pinker for me here on the watercolour paper. And then if I look at the Bermuda Bay, it's a bit lighter. It's almost the bit in the middle that's the most different. This is definitely pinker. But anyway, so those are our 3 papers, but now we're going to start getting wet. So I've got my water painters, and I want the one with the big round tip. So this one, purely because it gets a really nice splash. I'm going to just move my brushes out of the way, but so I don't lean on them, because I've got a nice cream jumper on. So I need my bone folder. I'm going to do these one at a time, purely so that I don't end up with things spritzing onto each other. So this is the watercolour paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is drop some water onto each of the colour sides and just see what that does. So this is just literally a drop, and I'll do one in the middle, if I can get it in the middle. Whoa! Excellent. Now, oops, let me just grab a piece of kitchen paper. Don't really want stray water, not that much anyway. So now I'm going to get this wet and bash. So this is going to get the little bits. So this is, if I bring this in, this is these little splatters here. I should say this is Coastal Cabana and Bermuda Bay. It's not just Bermuda Bay, but that was going to get too difficult for this. So I've got a really good drop here, so let's see what that can do. So this is just a splat. Get some more water on it, and then splat. So these are going to be little, and depending on how far away you are, up and down, will depend on the size of the splat. Just going to pop the lid back on for the moment. And then I've got a spritzer, which I will surprisingly spritz with. I'm going to try and keep everything flat, and I'm also dropping off my finger, deliberately dropping off my finger as well. So we've got spritz, we've got splat, we've got drops. And then depending on how long you leave it, depends on exactly what will happen. So you off grid paper, it lifts up really well. So there we have our finished piece. Now it's not the ones that are showing most of the big splats. Now they were on longest, I accept, but they are showing most. There's still a lot of texture on it. So if you want a smooth look, this probably isn't the way you're going to want to go, but that's that. I'm going to just add one more big drop on both sides and leave it for a while, purely so that we can see what happens if I pop that to one side and leave it for a bit. So now we've got Whisper White. So we're going to do a repeat performance. So splat, splat, splat in the middle, splat on the grid paper. It's almost literally a repeat performance. Wet brush and water. And depending on, you can do get some big, and do some flicks like that as well, so you get movement. Now the water is actually absorbing into the paper. I don't know how well you can see that, but here in particular, this was still a little wet. It's actually absorbing into the paper, and if I turn it over, you can see it seeping through. So this is actually going into the paper. If I were to do a splat and then pick it up instantly, you'd get a slightly different look because that hasn't got the halo around it. Again, I don't know how well that's going to pick up on camera, but these have got a halo because the ink has been pushed out, and then this hasn't got the halo. So that's that. Let me get the spritzer. I have to say, this is my sort of crafting. I love getting messy. Just going to do that a bit so that we don't get completely wet grid paper. So, and then spritz as well. So that's spritzing off my finger and then spritzing onto my phone, apparently. So that's that. You do have to be careful with your piece of kitchen roll that you don't end up moving ink around, as in putting ink from your kitchen paper onto your piece. So then that's this one. And again, we've got these very definite halos and the back is seeping through. But I then need to do my big splat. And I know what's going to happen, but we'll do it so that we've got a control, if you like. So those are my two big splats that I'm going to put to one side and to keep flat, preferably. So that's those. So now we've got the shimmer white. So again, let me splat, splat, splat in the middle. Oop, twice apparently. Then with a wet brush, splat. And then if I take that, I'll scoop that up first and then I will spritz. So that's our water painter splops, and it's really taken the ink out. I mean, really taken the ink out, much as it did on the original, or the one I did earlier. One of the reasons I've got different size paper is so I know which is which, because otherwise I don't know. But this is a quarter sheet of A4, so A6 if you're into international sizes. So those are the spritzes. And can you see I've got kitchen roll pattern, because the kitchen roll has absorbed the water and then lifted it off. So you can do that as well. Use use something with a texture and you can lift off as well. We'll do a bit of that in a minute as well. I'll use a piece of wet kitchen roll. So now we've got to do spritzy spritz, spritz, spritz. So again, I'll do some off my finger and then just some spritzing and see what that does. And I'm going to bring in another piece of kitchen paper so that I'm not using wet kitchen paper. So again, let's lift that off. And again, it's pretty much lifted it straight off. And this comes back to, this doesn't absorb the water. So the differences on the paper, let me just do the big sploshes and then I'll come back and explain the differences on the paper or of the paper. So splosh, come on splosh, and splosh. Right, so let me pop that to one side to sit while I bring in the watercolour paper. Now watercolour paper, its modus operandi is that it absorbs water. It's happy to absorb water. Love this technique. I use a spritzer bottle for absolutely. Spritzer bottles are great for large backgrounds. So watercolour paper will tend to absorb the paper really happily. You know, it's not an issue for it. This has sat on top a little, but generally speaking, watercolour paper you can get really wet. Hi, Ilsa. And it will happily take the water. So let's now lift, I need to find a clean, dry piece. So let's lift that off and lift that off. And it's pretty much stayed the same as it was when we did a quick lift. So that's that. Then we've got the ordinary white paper, which has absorbed the water, so there's nothing to lift off. And again, it's because that's how it works. It's like a sponge, but doesn't like absorbing water, so it's actually buckled quite a lot. And is, if I pushed this too hard, it would just go into it would just fall to pieces. Hi, Sandy, all the way from Pennsylvania. So yeah, this is, it's very, very delicate because it's absorbed the water and it doesn't really like it. So that's the ordinary ordinary Whisper White. And then this is the shimmery white again. And I don't know if you can see on camera. Let me see if I can get, bear with me while I switch to the other. So let me bring this up so that you may be able to, can you see there's this little pool of ink in the middle of the water on both of them? It's pooling the ink into the water. So it's actually lifting ink. Ooh, there we are. Lifting the ink into the water. And then if we take the paper again and just lift that off. Whoops, it's not that one, it's that one. That's a really clean lift. So lots of different effects depending on the paper that you use. So I'm now going to actually use this piece, I think, because it's wetter. Or I should say already wetter. Where's my spritzer? There it is. So I'm going to make this really wet. And so this is wet kitchen paper. So if I pop that down and lift up, we've got the impression of the kitchen paper. So it's lifted the ink with the texture. So let's see what happens. This is Whisper White. No, this is watercolor paper. So let's see what happens with that. Absolutely nothing. Not a thing. Not a bit different. Let's see if I wet it a bit more. Not a thing. I can definitely still see texture on the kitchen paper. Nope, not a thing. So if you want to put air bubbles on an inner wood, absolutely. Does the watercolor paper have a different texture on each side? Not really, Audrey, no. I would say no, not really. Not like the old watercolour paper used to. It's slight. There is a slight difference, but not what I would call a noticeable difference. Bear with me, because I have old watercolour paper as well. So the watercolour paper that we used to use. Let me just grab some. So this is the old watercolour paper where there was a definite difference between. So this was this one side was lumpier than the other, but with this, no, not so as you'd notice. But all watercolour paper is different because some of it's cold press, some of it's hot press. Anyway, so that was the watercolour paper. This is the Whisper White. So we've got a wet. Let's make it wetter. Because it always dries out quite quickly. So that's wet kitchen paper. Where can I find a piece of ink that hasn't got... That'll do. That has taken the design of the kitchen paper. So that has absorbed into the water, into the paper, whereas on this one it lifted off. So it is slightly different. So again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but let me see if I can zoom you in a bit. Let's zoom in a wee bit. Oh, come on, zoom in. No, it's not going to let me. Okay. Here, which is the ordinary Whisper White, it's orange, it's soaked in and it's left an orange tinge, whereas here it's lifted off, so it's revealed the background. As I say, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that on camera. Yeah, I mean they are just different, Audrey. I mean, if you've got old, and you know, I only use, as you know, because I'm running this as a business, I use the new when I'm using watercolour in a demonstration now, but I am using up the old, but for personal stuff. So those are the different papers when it comes to lifting ink off, having put it down with a blender brush. So we've had the difference on laying it down. So the shimmer white was quite difficult to get the ink onto, and I think that's because it's not absorbing. The Whisper White was quite easy to get the ink onto because it is very absorbent, so was absolutely soaking it up without any problem at all. Similarly with the watercolour, because it's built to absorb, equally that was quite easy to get the colour on. So the one that was hardest was this one, which I think is why it's not got such a depth of colour. Although this one has got more of a texture because it is picking up the texture of the card. So they are all different and they will give you a different result. Now, I also played with some masks. So this is, again, shimmer white, and then I used from the basic masks the dot pattern, and then just did tone on tone. And then this is Whisper White, just with the mask. So let me show you how that works. And I haven't done it on the watercolour paper yet, so I'm going to try it on the watercolour paper so that I know what the difference is. So I always stick my masks down so that there is some vague hope that if I need to lift them up and have another go, I can put them back in the same place. Actually, tell you what, I'm going to get a clean piece of paper because I'm going to be picking up colour from one brush to the other otherwise, and it's going to make mud. And mud, it may be glorious if you're a hippopotamus, but not so much if you're a paper crafter. Some of you may be wondering why on earth I'm talking about a hippopotamus. There was a duo back in the 1950s, in particular, called Flanders and Swan, and one of their hits was, I use hit in the loosest sense, one of their numbers was called Mud, Mud, Glorious Mud, and it was all about a hippopotamus. Sad but true. Right, so Bermuda Bay. Again, I'm just going to pick up some ink. Now, I'm less worried about getting an even tone because what I want here is definition. So I'm going to go straight onto the card. There's no reason to not. So I'm going to go straight onto the mask with my brush. And I'm just using old washi tape to do this. Now, there obviously is quite a lot of ink going to be left on top of your mask. So I'm going to go to my diagonal and then I'm going to stop, wipe it with a dry kitchen towel before I apply my Poppy Parade, because otherwise we will end up with mud. But I thought it would be, am I on the right paper? Yes, I am. This is the watercolour. Sorry, I had a bit of a moment there. Yes, this is the small paper. And then what I might do is do some spritzing and see what happens when we lift off having used a mask. Might be interesting. Right, so that's my Bermuda Bay. And grab my kitchen towel just to wipe the worst of it off. So that's that. Bring in my Poppy Parade. And nothing quite like it for cooling the blood. Absolutely, Audrey. And then, as I say, Poppy Parade going on this side, which again is going on really easily. Poppy Parade obviously is a really easy colour to put down. Oh, I've just thought of something else you could do. Ooh. I'll do that in a moment. Oh, I am having fun. I hope you're having fun because I'm having a great time. Right, so let's just wipe the worst off that as well. So that's that. Now, what you can do, if you wish, I'm not going to do it with this one, I'll do it in a little area, is you can then offset your dots. So if I lift up one edge and move my paper slightly, I can then come back in and do an offset. So I can come back in and with a gentle touch, you do not want this to be heavy, you want this to be a gentle touch, you can, as the Poppy Parade. Let's wipe that off. And when you wipe off, wipe towards the colour that you're wiping off, because your kitchen paper will pick up some ink. You could, that's almost where I was coming from, if you weren't going to apply another colour. Absolutely you could, yes. I would take the card out. In fact, we might try that in a minute. So again, let's just add the Bermuda Bay. So that's the Bermuda Bay slightly offset. So let me take that out. I'll just show you, we've got this slightly psychedelic effect, but let me just, so that was the Bermuda Bay, because I can see where it was. I'll come back in with quite a lot of Bermuda Bay onto the mask, and then let's have a look at what happens if we lay a piece of paper on top, having spritzed it. I mean, it's gonna, I'll replace the piece of grid paper underneath once I've done it, because it will be horrible. So I'm going to obviously avoid the middle because I don't particularly want to mix my colours at this stage. So there's not a huge amount of ink there, but the red, as we know, comes on much stronger. actually going to then grab my silicone mat just to protect my grid paper a wee bit. So we've got ink on our mask, and if let's see, what have we got? I'll use watercolour because I'm probably going to end up with quite a lot of water. So let's add water on top, lay down a piece of watercolour paper. Now remember, we didn't ink, we inked without this on, without the silicone mat. That said, my silicone mat's probably dirty, but hopefully we'll get an idea. So yes is the answer, Audrey. That's what you get, which is beautiful. Really good idea. Really good idea. Don't you love playing? You know, I haven't got any projects in mind. This is just playing. So I'll have all these backgrounds that I can do stuff with. Where's my really wet piece? So let me just wipe the excess off. So that's that. It's going to be wet on both sides because it just will be. Because obviously the water will have gone through to the other side of the mask. So that should be reasonably clean. So the other thing that I was thinking of doing was, so we've got Audrey's lovely effect there, which is gorgeous. And what's interesting is that it's actually ended up as a purple down the middle, whereas if you lay Poppy Parade over Bermuda Bay, you get brown. But because it's split the colours, the water has split the colours, so we've got almost Highland Heather down the middle. Audrey's favourite colour. So, yeah. Okay, so what I'm thinking is I'm going to grab, and again, I think I'm going to use watercolour paper for this. So, I'm going to come in just with the basic colours again. Let's get our psychedelic one out of the way. That really is quite painful to look at. So, Poppy Parade again. And I want to do this. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. Good grief, you'd think I was not very bright. There are moments when I do wonder about my sanity, but hey. So, I'm just trying to avoid the Bermuda Bay. But I find it easier to go on the right because I'm right-handed. Obviously, if you're left-handed, you're going to be going over this side first. So, Poppy Parade. There we go. So that's my Poppy Parade. Now Bermuda Bay. Remembering to change brushes in the meantime. And where's my post-it note gone? My hand protector. Part of this isn't just vanity and not wanting to get my hands dirty. I already have my hands dirty. But if you get ink on your fingers and then you touch dampness, you can end up transferring the ink or lifting off, and yeah, that's not what I'm trying to do. So as you'll remember, on watercolour paper, the Bermuda Bay wasn't as easy to lay down as the Poppy Parade. Don't know why. Life just happens sometimes. And as what I want is ink on this, and I want it smooth, but that's not my priority. My priority is to get ink down. So there we've got our inked piece. So pop that to one side. What's going to be interesting is I wonder what I'm going to take a photograph of for my website, because I will post this on my website. But heaven only knows what picture I'm going to use. Sorry, I dropped one of my pieces of paper on the floor. So, silicone mat just to protect my background. mask reasonably straight, and that's my least wet piece of kitchen paper. So what I am hoping to do is lift off. Now obviously I'm going to get inky with this, but hey. So let's see what that has. Not brilliantly brilliant, but I probably used a bit too much water, but it's not a bad effect. So this is the use the mask to use the mask as a stamp, and this is the using water through the mask. Yeah, that often does happen. It is, yes, it is looking quite orange. Anyway, on the screen, or certainly on my screen, and also there's a bit of muck there, probably a bit of dead kitchen paper. It also depends on how you've calibrated your computer screen. If you're doing graphics, as in design graphics, you calibrate your computer screen so that you know that the colours are true. Each computer screen is slightly different, so it's a bit like if you take a photo with your phone and then print it out. It may come out a different colour when you print it out. Anywho, so this is ink and then lifting, and this is the mask having been inked, used as a stamp. So yes, there we are. So anything else colour-wise with masks and water and brushes that anyone would be interested in seeing? Otherwise I will finish for the day. But if there are any questions, I'm very happy to answer any questions. Otherwise you can obviously ask questions when this is finished, when this stream is finished. There's always a delay, so I'm going to just wait for a moment and see what you say. And maybe get a baby wipe to clean my fingers. Ooh, there's a thought. Ooh, there's a thought. Excuse me one moment. I'm going to use shimmer white, I think, for this. Right, shimmery white cardstock. Sorry, I've just had a thought. Does it react differently with alcohol? Okay. Bear with me one moment. Whoops, things are falling all over the place. Somewhere I have a spritzer with alcohol in it. Of course it's going to be the last one I bring out, but that's that one. And I've got a pipette and some rubbing alcohol. This is 70% rubbing alcohol. Have a good day, or shift I should say, B. So let's just fill my spritzer. I mean, the answer to your question, Audrey, is yes, it will, but I don't know quite how on all of these different papers. Right, so I mark my clear alcohol just with this washi tape. So avoiding sniffing the alcohol. Right, so let me bring back in some of the ones that we've already done, and then I'm going to be doing something slightly different. So this is our shimmer white. So that's alcohol. Let me grab some more kitchen paper. New roll of kitchen paper. So that's alcohol, which is actually, interestingly, soaking through the shimmer white, because it's not water, it's alcohol. So yes, that's making an orange. So if I've got a little bit of alcohol still left in my pipette. So that's on the Bermuda Bay, and again, it's sinking in. So it's acting like water would on Whisper White. So you can see from the back it's bled through. So it does. It gives a highlight. If I spritz, let me protect my workspace a little, particularly my phone, which is just there. Could of course move my phone, but that would be far too simple. So let's spritz. So yes, it is different. If I absorb that up, ooh, that's nice. Oh, you know what? I was going to say that's nice. Then I realised the reason that's nice is because this isn't pure alcohol. It's got some of the shimmer. It's got some of the shimmer paint in it. So let me get my pure alcohol back. I don't know why I put that in there. That's supposed to be pure alcohol. Anyway, let me get my alcohol bottle back, and we'll just have to play with drops rather than spritzing, because I don't think I've got a clean spritzer. Oh no, I have. I lied. Right, so this one is this is brand new, so, but I have to say I like that on the shimmer white paper. Whoa. Anyhow, right, so let's bring this back and pop that in there. Yes, I did get the pipette online. I think, or did I actually? I think I got them at that shop that shall not be named, that begins with HC. It's a one-word shop, but it's yes. Alcohol on the paper, not in the stamper. Well, I don't know, Wendy. Unfortunately, it's dry January. So at the moment, because himself and I are on a diet, we are doing dry January, and probably February as well. So yeah, I do, however, have tucked away a bottle of Chardonnay, but it's a prop. And that is actually wine in it, and I've had it a really long time. Right, so we get rid of the one that we thought was clear alcohol and wasn't, and bring in the one that we now know is, because it's new, and try that again. So it's just absorbing straight in, Audrey. It is making it more orange. But so it is diluting it, but it's pushing it through in the same way that an alcohol marker would bleed through. So that's the shimmer white. Floor's always a good place for these things. This is the watercolor paper. As I say, just saving the phone, and it's just going straight into the paper. It's as if, I mean, it was a real blink and you'd miss it. It has, I can see my hand through the paper now, so it has bled through, but not really taken the colour with it, but it's making not a blind bit of difference. And then this is the Whisper White, and I do mean Whisper, not basic. And again, what it's doing is diluting the ink. So this is, it's diluting rather than lifting, I think is the answer to that one. So I'm just going to grab a marker and write alcohol. So I know that's alcohol. Right, so what was I going to do? Oh yes, I know. So, shimmer white card. blending, and no, I can't remember what I was going to do now. Doesn't matter. Was I just going to, I think I was going to repeat the same thing, but with the shimmer white. I think that's what I was going to do. I got distracted. Yes, definitely it's more orangey with the alcohol on it. And I'll bring it back in a minute so that we can, because it's on the floor, so I know which one it is. So we can do a compare. So this is Shimmer White and Bermuda Bay. And the reason I'm doing the Shimmer White this time is because it reacts differently to the watercolour. So I'm just going to see if this has a different result when we spritz through the mask. So I'm not going to go mad with the Bermuda Bay. We know it's not as easy to put down as the Poppy Parade. So, Poppy Parade. And again, I've got, can you see? I've got a post-it note mark. Anyway. I have a Bermuda Bay square now. Ooh. That went on with a splodge. Not too fussed. It does smooth out because this is the shimmery white. It's quite easy to get rid of tone on tone smushes. Still got that post-it note mark though. Right, so that's that. And then what I wanted to see is whether that made a difference when we spritzed through. So, oh no, I've remembered what I was going to do now. I've remembered what I was going to do. So this is, as I say, the Shimmer White. So I have got a packet of suitable for sensitive skin, including newborns, 99.4% water, biodegradable baby white from Aldi. So these are almost exclusively water in them. So it's pure, it's water, sodium citrate, citric acid, and then lots of things that I can't pronounce. But most of it is water. And what I'm thinking is we lie it down and press. So we're using the mask, obviously as a mask, and then using our baby wipe, our almost exclusively water baby wipe, to see what that does. And I think I know. So we lift that off, lift this up. Ooh, now that's interesting. So it's been more effective on the Poppy Parade, I suppose because there was more ink, than on the Bermuda Bay, but interesting difference and an interesting effect, I think. So yes, so there's another technique for you. Baby wipes, which are also very good for cleaning your hands. Not as good as soap and water, but yeah. So that's that. Let's bring back our, so this is the Shimmer White. So that was the Shimmer White and alcohol, as opposed to the Shimmer White alcohol and shimmery paint. And this is the watercolour. So on the watercolour, it's as if it hadn't even been on. Yeah. Baby section. I have to say, baby wipes from Aldi are brilliant. So, yeah, this has gone back to its original colour, whereas this has stayed orange. And then the Whisper White, again, it's still really wobbly, actually, from the alcohol. So I don't know what that's going to do. but it is a bit orange and a bit bluer. So there you are. I think we will call that a day. So thank you very much indeed for joining me today. I do, of course, have to do a shot. I'll bring you back to full face, and then we'll have to do a me holding thing so that I can use that as the thumbnail. So bear with me while I come back to there and go that way, because then I can go with, let's do those two. I can go like this, and then I can use this as my thumbnail for this particular video. So there. Let's go back to picture in picture. In fact, no, I won't. I'll go back to the little webcam and just see if there's any other comments. So thank you very much indeed. As I say, this will just go straight into live stream, or, you know, post live stream. I will do a little bit of editing just to get a different thumbnail, because obviously it's going to start any minute now really isn't relevant. But thank you very much indeed for watching. Have a fantastic rest of the week and a good weekend. I will be here on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, and I'll be doing a project rather than techniques. So if you're interested in that, please join me at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. Do remember that if you've enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And there is the button for that in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. You can just click on that and you will subscribe. And if you want to know when I go live, remember to hit the alert bell as well. So thank you very much indeed. Have a fantastic rest of your week. I'm going to remove that really mucky piece of grid paper before I lean on it with my nice jumper, and wish you a good evening. See you on Saturday, Audrey. So let me do the really classy bit, because, you know, I've got to. I've been playing with this for a while.